Much of America is starting to reopen right now this week. 32 states offering at least partial ways for people to return to life and work. Ground zero for all this might be Georgia, where the Republican governor, Kemp, pushed the state to reopen last week, drawing criticism from President Trump, who was contradicting his own past calls to reopen by knocking Kemp. You can also see movie theaters and malls there filling with people in lines. There's a video from Atlanta making the rounds where you can see people setting off fireworks and watching a stunt driving event. So people are living. Many were also waiting in line for the new Jordan sneakers at this Atlanta mall. But more activity obviously brings more risk. In fact, exposure to the virus in Georgia has spiked 40% since the governor reopened the state. And the implications are broader. The Trump administration has been raising the U.S. death estimate to nearly double by June in that blockbuster New York Times report that we were discussing. So right now, we turn to an official in the middle of this dilemma. Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, who opposes Governor Kemp's policy, while also stressing that she continues to seek a working relationship with him. I know you're very busy. Thanks for making time for us tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Sure. What are you advising your constituents, your citizens to do in your city as you still are in a bit of a clash over policy with the governor?
So, Ari, I'll tell you, I was so taken aback this weekend when I saw so many people out that I stopped for a moment and I asked my husband in all seriousness, had I missed something about COVID-19? Because there were so many people out. I thought that maybe something had changed, that maybe this still was not a highly contagious virus, that thousands of people were dying from each day. And the reality is this: in Georgia, a lot of people didn't get past it's okay to go back out and it's business as usual. I think many people heard what they wanted to hear, and I think we saw that reflected across the country. But my message is consistent. I am still encouraging people to stay home. And listen, I get it. I have an 18-year-old in my house who is going stir crazy. It's beautiful in Georgia right now, but the reality is that this is still a highly contagious virus. And especially in the African-American community, it is often deadly.
I want to play a little bit of something we've been doing throughout our reporting, which is listening to these frontline workers. Obviously, you work with and oversee many of them as running a city. Take a listen.
At the place where I work, the doctors, the nurses, the respiratory therapists, the nursing assistants, the pharmacists, etc., will all have to take a pay cut because people aren't doing what's right. And the people that aren't doing things that are right all work in Washington. There is no reason that the states who have had these super sick people should have to suffer. We've suffered enough.
Curious your response.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly selfish for those of us who don't have to risk our lives each and every day to put people in a position where they're having to risk their lives and make sacrifices, whether it be economically or otherwise. When we look at other countries and we look at how they've gotten to the other side of this, it's been very simple. They stayed in to flatten the curve. And we're nowhere near there in Georgia. Our numbers each day are running roughly between 25 and nearly a 30% increase between those testing positive and those who are dying from 7 days previously. So even by the president's own standards, we aren't there. And it continues to concern me that we are going down what I feel to be a very reckless path. I've spoken with the governor. We've agreed to disagree on this. But I think the fact that we are testing this and we'll wait and see in 2 to 3 weeks, we don't get a do-over with this. Testing this means we'll see if more people get sick.
Well, and that's why we highlighted the 40% jump we've seen and what's going on and following what you're dealing with there in Atlanta and across Georgia. Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, thank you so much. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.